Good morning to all. Welcome back again to our class. Today we will see the transmitter and transmission channel and receiver blocks of PCM, that is pulse code modulation system. So first of all, we should know the definition of modulation. So usually referred to the variation of some characteristic of a carrier wave in accordance with an information bearing signal. So that is message signal or baseband signal, varying the characteristics of the carrier in accordance with the instantaneous amplitude of the message signal or baseband signal or information bearing signal is called modulation. This you know very well, I think so. So next, what is the first operation in the PCM system means sampling. Operation is sampling, but before sampling we will use one low pass filter also, low pass pre-alias filter. So it is used at the front end of the sampler in order to exclude frequencies greater than omega before sampling. So to remove the frequencies greater than omega, we will use low pass filter before the sampler. That is about why we used low pass filter in the block diagram of transmitter of PCM system. Next, coming to sampling, the incoming message wave is sampled with a train of narrow rectangular pulses. Why we are doing this one? So as to closely approximate the instantaneous sampling process. Closely approximate the instantaneous sampling process. So why we are doing this one? In order to get perfect reconstruction of the message at the receiver. So by doing the sampling with the help of the train of narrow rectangular pulses, we will get the perfect reconstruction of the message at the receiver. So the sampling rate must be greater than twice the highest frequency component omega of the message wave. This is the condition for the sampling. So it should be greater than twice that of the highest frequency component omega of the message wave. Then only we will get the perfect wave at the receiver. So this is about the sampling. Coming to here, quantizing. Second block in the transmitter is quantizing. So it is quantizing. This also you know very well. An analog signal such as voice has a continuous range of amplitudes and therefore it samples cover a continuous amplitude ranges. So it samples covers a continuous range of amplitude levels. That's why we will convert that sampling into quantizing signal. So in other words, so what is quantizing means? Within the finite amplitude range of a signal, we find an infinite number of amplitude levels. This you know very well, we discussed in the previous class also. Because if we have 0 to 2 levels, 0, 1, 2 are the amplitudes of analog signal. Convert this analog signal into discrete means. So we will first we will do sampling. We will get samples that convert that sample into a infinite number of amplitude levels we have now. That is if we do the sampling, we will get some samples, infinite samples. What is the amplitude of that infinite sample means? Rounded to a nearby value of the amplitude level. Suppose if we get 0.5 means round that value to 0. 0.6 means round that value to 1. 1.8 means round that value to 2. Like that we will do quantizing, assigning the amplitude levels for the samples is called quantizing. That is in the simple way. Okay. See here, any human sense, the ear or the eye as ultimate receiver can detect only finite intensity differences. So this you know very well. We can sense up to ear or eye, we can sense up to some level, can detect only finite intensity differences. We cannot detect all the intensity differences. We can get some sense of finite intensity differences. This means that the original analog signal may be approximated by a signal constructed of discrete amplitudes selected on a minimum error basis from an available set. So the original analog signal may be approximated by a signal constructed of a discrete amplitudes. Original signal is converted into some discrete amplitude levels in quantizing. Next, the existence of a finite number of discrete amplitude levels is a basic condition of PCM. So what is the basic condition of PCM is the existence of a finite number of discrete amplitude levels is a basic condition. We should take the amplitude levels from the existing finite number of discrete amplitude levels. That is the main condition in the PCM system. We should select from those number of discrete levels only, but we should not take the other values for the incoming signal. If we assign the discrete amplitude levels with sufficiently close spacing, we may make the approximated signal practically indistinguishable from the original analog signal. If we assign the discrete amplitude levels very closely, that means if we increase the number of samples very closely, so that means the samples should be increased. If we take the sample levels nearby values approximated, that is very closely spacing, then we can get the perfect signal at the output, original analog signal at the output. This is clear, I think so. That is, if we assign the amplitude levels very closely spacing, then we will get the perfect signal at the receiver. The conversion of an analog sample of the signal into a digital form is called the quantizing process. Already I told now. In simple form, we can say this one. What is quantizing means? You can say this one. Graphically, the quantizing process means that a straight line representing the relation between the input and output of a linear system is replaced by a transfer characteristic that is staircase like in appearance. So how can we define the quantization process? Graphically means a staircase approximation which shows the relation between the input and output of a linear system. So what is the quantizing process? Graphically means it shows a staircase approximation. That staircase approximation will reveals the relation between the input and output of a linear system. That is called the graphical representation of the quantization process. So what are the characteristics of the quantizer? That we will see one by one. Coming to here. So actually the quantizing process has a twofold effect. So up to now you came to know what is quantizing, what is happening in the quantizing, but coming to PCM system we will discuss in deep about the quantizing, what is happening in the quantizing. So actually the quantizing process has a twofold effect. Every quantizing process in this system will have twofold effect. What is meant by twofold effects? See here, the peak to peak range of input sample values is subdivided into a finite set of decision levels or decision thresholds. The peak to peak range of input samples is divided into finite set of decision levels or decision thresholds that are aligned within the risers of the staircase. So risers, these are called risers of the staircase, rising like this. If you represent like this, that means vertical line, those are called risers of the staircase which define the decision levels or decision thresholds. That is related to the input sample. Coming to the second fold effect is the output is assigned a discrete value selected from a finite set of representation levels or reconstruction values that are aligned with the threads of the staircase. Threads means that like this, horizontal, riser vertical, threads horizontal. So risers are related to input, threads are related to the output. So this you remember please to draw the staircase. Next, in case of uniform quantizer, so basically the quantizer is divided into two types, uniform quantizer and non-uniform quantizer. So uniform quantizer means the separation between the decision thresholds and representation levels of the quantizer have a common value called the step size. That is, in case of a uniform quantizer, the separation between the successive decision thresholds and the successive representation levels of a quantizer. Successive, you should remember this point. Here I didn't mention that one. Successive differences between the input values, successive differences between the output values is having a common value, that is delta. That delta is called step size. So the quantizer which is having the same value, common value of step size is called uniform quantizer. If the step size is varying, that quantizer is called as non-uniform quantizer. That is the difference between the uniform quantizer and non-uniform quantizer. This also you should remember, very important for competitive exams. Which one is called uniform quantizer, which one is called non-uniform quantizer. Okay, you should remember this one, quantizer, uniform quantizer, non-uniform quantizer. Uniform quantizer is having the same value. That is the separation between the successive decision levels and the separation between the successive representation level will have a common value, that is delta, is called uniform quantizer. If it is differs, then it is called non-uniform quantizer. So coming to here, these are the two figures. This is one fold type, this is second fold type. See here, I will read here, see here, a uniform quantizer in this way is referred to as a symmetric quantizer of the mid-thread type, because the origin lies in the middle of a thread of the staircase. So if a quantizer is represented like this, this is the input x-axis, output y-axis, divide the input into some values, divide the output into some other values. If we draw like this, see here, here riser means vertical, thread means horizontal. So here thread, this is the midpoint and it is lies thread. Hence quantizer of the mid thread type. If we represent the quantizer of this type, this quantizer is called mid thread type, because the origin lies in the middle of a thread. Middle of a thread. That's why this is called mid thread type quantizer. Coming to here, what is this type? Riser, mid riser type. So this is the mid thread and this is a mid riser quantizer. Same. So a quantizer represented in this represents quantizer, symmetric quantizer of the mid riser type, because the origin lies in the middle of a riser of the staircase. Riser of the staircase. Just change this definition to get explanation of this one. So you just, how we draw means, just vary the input levels and vary the output levels. You can take your own values. Say here, this values here, this values here, like that you represent, then you will get the characteristics of the uniform quantizer. Coming to here, x-axis input, y-axis quantization error. How we will get these graphs? You should concentrate this one, characteristics of quantization error. So how we will get this one means, see here, this one is mid riser and this one is mid thread. So how can you say mid riser? Vertical, and here there is no horizontal, but we are getting the slope. See here, a quantizer, a uniform quantizer having characteristics 1b is referred to as a symmetric quantizer to the mid riser type, because in this case the origin lies in the middle of a riser of the staircase. That is 1b. See here, this is already discussed now. So next, coming to here, what is the quantization error? Here we have drawn the characteristics of quantization error to the input. So what is the quantization error? So quantization error means the value of which is equals to the difference between the output and input values of the quantizer. So quantization error means output and input values of the quantizer is called quantization error. Then how we got these waveforms? That here you see here, figure 1c and 1b shows the variations of the quantization error with the input for the two uniform quantizer types. These are the 1c and 1d. So 1c and 1d ma, it is, see here, 1c and 1d shows the variations of the quantization error with the input for the two uniform quantizer types 1c and 1d. So fan valla papers segiripotu unnayi, 1c and 1d, you please adjust that one. Okay, yeah. Next, in both cases we see that the maximum instantaneous value of this error is half of one step size, and the total range of variation is from minus half a step 2 plus half a step minus delta by 2 to plus delta by 2. See here. So maximum quantization error is plus delta by 2 to minus delta by 2. See here also same, half of the step size. Maximum instantaneous values of this error. So maximum quantization error is half of the step size, that you should observe. How we got these errors? So quantization errors, you know very well, differences between the input and output. Or output minus input is called the quantization error. So how we got means, see here with the values I will explain here. Example. For example, output is, suppose let us assume as 0 and vary the input 0, 1 by 4th, half, minus 1 by 4th, minus 1 by 2. Now 0 minus 0, 0, 0 minus delta by 4, minus delta by 4, 0 minus delta by 2, minus delta by 2, 0 minus of minus delta by 4 plus delta by 4, 0 minus of minus delta by 2 plus delta by 2. See here. So 0, 0, input is 0, quantization error is 0. If input is delta by 4, what is the quantization error? Minus delta by 4. Here is the point. See here is the point. Next, if the input is delta by 2, what is the quantization error? Minus delta by 2. Here is the point. If the input is minus delta by 2, minus delta by 4, what is the quantization error? Plus delta by 4. Here. If the input is minus delta by 2, what is the quantization error? Delta by 2. If vary the values, still you will get same values like this. See here, mid-thread type. So that's why I have drawn remaining threads also like this. See here, this is about the mid-thread type quantization error characteristic, mid-riser. Here we need to vary the input and output values, then only we will get the riser at the middle. So if the output is delta by 2, input is 0. So here the output is delta by 2 constantly, input is 0, then what is the quantization error? If the input is delta by 4, what is the quantization error? Why? Because here we are observing the variation in the input to get the quantization error by keeping the output characteristics based on our requirement. Okay, so that's why here we put output to 0 and here we put output constant as delta by 2. So you can take your own values also to get the riser and thread type, but the maximum and minimum values are plus delta by 2 to minus delta by 2 to respectively. Okay, like this you go through this one also, you will get same as like this. Okay, note down these values and try on your own for mid riser type. I think I am clear with this. I am moving. So this is over. Next, after sampling, after quantizing, what is the next part in our system, PCM system? Encoder. So what is encoding? That we will see here. In combining the process of sampling and quantizing, the specification of a continuous baseband signal becomes limited to a discrete set of values. Yeah, of course, the continuous signal is converted into discrete set of values, but not in form best suited for transmission over a line, radio path or optical fiber. So after doing the quantization process, it is not suitable for the transmission. That's why we are converting the signal for the in a way that is suitable for the transmission. So how can we do that one? So we require the use of an analog encoding process to translate the discrete set of sample values to a more approximate form of signal, more approximate form of digital signal. So how can we represent that one? Representing discrete set of values as a particular arrangement of discrete events is called a code. So represent the discrete set of values into a code. One of discrete event in a code is called a code element or symbol. So one of discrete event in a code is called a discrete code element or symbol. code element or symbol. A particular arrangement of symbols used in a code. So we will follow one particular arrangement of symbols used in a code to represent a single value of a discrete set is called a code word or character. So already I told you now what is code word, that you came to know in the next classes. See, this is the code word. A particular arrangement of symbols used in a code to represent a single value of a discrete set is called a code word or character. So suppose for example 0 means 2-bit code word means 00, 3-bit code word means 000. That 000, 00, 010, 010, that is called code word or character. This can be represented in binary like zeros and ones or ternary code and so on. Yes, of course. Suppose in a binary code each code word consists of n bits. Suppose in a binary code each code word consists of n bits, that means 2, 3 like that. If it consists of those number of bits, n bits, then we can represent a total number of 2 power n distinct numbers. If the code word consists of 3 bits means we can represent the code word into 2 power 3, that means 8 distinct numbers. Example 4 means 2 power 4 means 16 levels we can have. That is about the encoding process. So if we have 3 bits means we have to represent 8 number of levels. Okay. So that is confused in the encoding process. How can we divide the encoding process? Mean 2 bits means we can divide up to 4 bits, 4 distinct levels. If 3 bits we have means we can divide up to 8 distinct levels. Like that we can divide in the encoding process. So after encoding we have regeneration circuit. That is reconstructing the PCM wave by means of a chain of regenerative repeaters located at sufficiently close spacing along transmission route. So why we are using this one means to reconstruct the PCM wave as it is without any disturbances along the transmission route. 3 basic functions performed by a regenerative repeater. What are the basic functions performed by a regenerative repeater means? Equalization, timing, decision making device. So we have one circuit for regenerative circuit. I will show that one. See here. This is the circuit for regenerative repeater. Distorted PCM wave, amplifier equalizer, decision making device, timing circuit. Here you will get regenerated PCM wave. This is the circuit for regenerative repeater. So what is the function of the each and every block, that we will see here. See this one. Take this diagram. Distorted PCM wave, amplifier equalizer, timing circuit, decision making device. Regenerated PCM is the output. So first block is the equalizer, which shapes the receiver pulses so as to compensate for the effects of amplitude and phase distortions produced by imperfections in the transmission characteristics of the channel. So is there any effects due to the amplitude and phase distortions produced by the imperfections in the transmission characteristics of channel? Because of channel, is there any imperfections in the amplitude and phases? Those can be shaped by the equalizer. That is the function of the equalizer in the regenerative repeater circuit. Coming to the timing circuit, which provides a periodic pulse train, to reconstruct the original wave as it is. This will help for the PCM system. Coming to decision making device, which will enable when time determined by the timing circuit, the amplitude of the equalized noise exceeds a predetermined voltage level. So see here, timing circuit means each and every timing circuit can have, decision making device means each and every decision making device can have one threshold value. So here when it enable means when the amplitude of the equalized noise exceeds a predetermined voltage level. So decision making device can have predetermined voltage level. If that voltage value exceeds, the amplitude of the equalized noise exceeds, then it will enable. That is the function of the decision making device. What is this decision making device? We will use in so many circuits this decision making device. Then you will get the clear idea about this decision making device. So each and every decision making device will have some threshold value. If it will exceed, it will on. It will not exceed, it is in the off state. Remember these 2 points about the decision making device. This is about the regenerative repeater circuit. So some 2 important points related to the regenerative repeater circuit. The presence of noise and interference causes the repeater to make wrong decision. Those wrong decisions are called bit errors. So remember this point. What is meant by bit error means the presence of noise and interference causes the repeater to make wrong decision. That wrong decision can be called as bit errors. If the spacing between the received pulses deviates from its assigned value. So received pulses assigned value is deviate from the received pulses. Assigned value. Received pulses deviates from the assigned value. Then we will introduce a distortion. That distortion is called as jitter. So jitter very important for competitive exams. If the spacing between the received pulses deviates from its assigned value, a jitter is introduced. This causing distortion. So that is about the jitter. Remember this point, jitter. Next, what is the next block in the PCM system? Decoding. So the first operation in the receiver is to generate, that is reshape and clean up the received pulses. So clean the received pulses, that is a function of the receiver block. First operation of the receiver block. The decoding process involves generating a pulse. The amplitude is the linear sum of all the pulses in the code word weighted by its place value in the code. So decoding, what it will do, the encoding we assign the amplitude level, that is 2 into a code word. Now the code word is converted into the amplitude is the linear sum of all the pulses in the code word weighted by its place value. Suppose for example 0, 1, 0. Phase value is 1, but place value of 1 is 2. Why? Because 2 power 0, 2 power 1, 2 square. That is the place value. So for here 2 power 1 means, I will show with example. So place value, phase value. See here 0, 1, 0, 1. Suppose 2 power 0, 2 power 1, 2 square, 2 cube. See here phase value is 1 and here 1, here 0, 0. But place value, sum of the place value. Place value means place value of this one is 1, 2 power 0 into 1. Place value of this one is 2 square into 1, that is 4. So 4 plus 1 is equals to 5. So assign that this code word assigned to a value of 5. That will done in the decoding process. Understood this one? That is the meaning of this one. Amplitude is the linear sum of all the pulses in the code word. Code word, this is the code word weighted by its place value in the code. So place value, remember this one, place value. Next, coming to the reconstruction, this will recover the original analog signal. Assume that the transmission path is error free. The recovered signal includes no noise with exception initial distortion. So to get the reconstruction of the original signal as it is, assume that error free. The path is transmission path is error free and the recovered signal includes no noise with exception initial distortion. Then only we will get the original signal as it is with these assumptions. Okay. So with this we can complete the block diagram of pulse code modulation. So we will move to the next topic, that is channel noise and error probability.